Alright, hello everyone, it's the Barry Peatling Football Show, and I'd like now to introduce Barry Peatling.
Good afternoon, Colin Sutcliffe, and good afternoon the viewers out there, and it's a very, very cold, wet day in Chelsea.
Very cold and very
Can't
wet.
afford a heater on, so I'll just freeze. We'll get through it.
We have to have hot conversation to keep ourselves warm.
Keep the pressure up, yeah.
Before we get into the big game against Pines, the controversial game against the Pines, we're going to hark back to a bygone era and an article here, Panthers, Snarl and Class Display. Of course, we're talking about the Rapanyup Panthers.
Yeah.
And it tells us in the headline here, if I can just focus, it says Peatling was dynamic all over the ground and kicked 4 goals while resting in the forward pocket.
Average day, 4 goals, yeah. Best on the ground. 1965 it was Colin, was it against Horsham? Against Horsham, yeah, against
Horsham. They couldn't match the Panthers.
Too strong. That's when Northey come back that year for the last season, but he wasn't.
It says he was hissing like a steam train.
Well, he was not as he lost his pace, and he only played about 10 games that season. But
he got countless kicks.
Northey, you know, he loved handball. He was a handball man.
Okay, that's interesting.
But he come back. He's done a bit of a moonlight and come back.
They said he's a clever, confident footballer.
He played for 20 games for Hawthorn.
Okay, so not a bad.
He was up there in the early 6 and he come back for 1 year, and he rang me up and said, "Is there any chance to get in the game?" I said, "Well, get up there and you might find out."
Now, according to you, you were a better footballer than him.
I was a lot better footballer.
How come he got the Hawthorn gig and...
Well, I was, look, in 1960, I was playing the main practice games of Richmond. I was getting in the best players every week.
Mm-hmm.
Against the senior players, Colin, and it was the biggest. When I didn't make the senior list that year, I was going to go down and kill Graham Richmond, and my mother was going to go. It was a joke. I mean, there was a bit of a political stuff down there at the time.
Okay. So what were you? You were a stirrer down there? Or?
No, I was just a very good footballer.
Okay.
I mean, I stepped up from the fourth, the scouts, the fourth, the third, seconds, and went from straight from the thirds to the seconds.
Did you have did you talk too much, a bit of an attitude?
No,
or?
I was pretty. No, I had talked a bit on the football ground, but I didn't. No, I wasn't a smart ass.
You didn't make sort of remarks about the leadership group, or?
But they asked me to come back in 1962, Colin. And I said, "Listen, Graham Richmond's alive now. Oh, of course he's alive, and he died 15 years ago. And I was pretty good mates with Graham Richmond, the secretary. Everyone knows Graham Richmond." He said, "Barry, come back." He said, "We got you. Now we had 10 rovers. That's right." He said, "We'll narrow them down to 3, and you're one of them." He said,
"Why didn't you go?"
"Come back." I said, "Look, I'm getting more money up here in Rapanyup, Graham." I said, "I want to be guaranteed a game, Graham." In other words, I was up in Rapanyup. I was living in Rapanyup then.
Yeah, getting the money there.
And
so it was income based.
He said, "I can't guarantee you a game, Barry, but you're in the last 3." But I stayed up in Rapanyup.
Oh, okay.
So they did ask me to come back.
Alright, well that was all very interesting, but let's get into the big game that was on Saturday, Chelsea versus the Pines, 2:15. What were the weather and conditions like, Barry?
The weather was good, a bit of a breeze, probably started the game was worth about 4 or 5 goals. No, it might have been worth about 3 goals. But a perfect day for football, again.
Perfect day for footy.
And a fair crowd over there too.
Yeah, okay. So it was a little bit dreary. It was quite cool, but yeah, you're right. It's not.
It was cold, very cold, as a matter of fact. I had a jacket on.
Any changes?
Yeah, there's 2 changes. Out was Brisbane with the quad, and Toddy Garden, who Frankston wouldn't let him play, but he was over there on Saturday. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Why don't you play?" He said, "We're having a bye, but they wouldn't let me play." So anyway, he was out, and
That's very interesting.
It is. Because he was watching the game. I said, he should have been out there, Colin. Would have been a big difference.
That would have been the difference.
We would have won easy. Incoming was Joel Connolly and Nizer, 2 very good ins.
Very good ins. Okay, let's talk about the first quarter then.
Well, the first half, I'll go in the first half, but then we're at the first. Our first quarter was our best quarter of the year.
Yeah.
Just 5 goals. We kicked 5 goals, 2 goals.
So I had a nice little start.
But of course, Joel Connolly started off brilliantly in the ruck, and but they came back in the second quarter, and they were only a point behind. That's when that was their best quarter
of the game.
But kicking 5 goals in the first quarter, I was walking off the ground the quarter time speech. I said to Paul, the coach, I said, "Yes, we're starting off brilliantly. This could be it." He said, "Yeah, I think you might be right, though." But anyway,
half times have been pretty good.
It was a good start. Half time was 6-7 Chelsea, 2-6 to Pines. There was nothing in it.
1 point the difference.
But the second half, that was their best score. They kicked 5 goals and we kicked 2, I think. 5 goals to 3.
So that's the second half. So
that was
up until third quarter, it was pretty.
But the last quarter, it was a very even game until they got. We were in front probably till about 10 minutes before the finish, and they kicked a couple of quick goals and they just finished too strong. And the final scores for us were 12-13 to 14-12. It was a. I'll say something about the umpires later. But
it was about a 10-point difference in scoring.
Well,
so they won by less than 2 goals, is that right?
Won by 12, 13, won by 11 points.
11 points, so it was a 2-goal difference.
It was 2 kicks and it was just
and so we'll get into the umpires and all that in a minute, but you think that Chelsea should have won it, and we'll point to the...
We were fair and robbed.
We were robbed. We'll get into that in a little bit. But
those umpires...
hang on, we'll get into that in a minute. We'll get into that in a minute, but we'll get your reasons why it's robbed, and we draw attention to the headline as well.
Well, that's right. The headline says it all.
Okay, well, and we'll get the umpires a little bit later, but let's have a look at the goal kickers.
The goal kickers for Chelsea was Curtis Bywaters 3, Matty Garden 2 beautiful goals Matty Garden kicked on Saturday. Fear 1, Michael Shaw 1, Harrington. There's a lot of spread of goal kickers there. Michael Shaw 1, Harrington 1, Odell 1, McCrory 1, and Hudson Thomas 1.
Okay, so Bywater seems to be the spearhead at the moment.
Bywater, he's just about back in business, Bywater.
Alright, well, give us your group of best players.
Well, Michael Shaw, Jason Clark, Bywaters, Connolly, Nizer and Stewie and Jason Clark. They were the pick of the best players, I think.
Well, they're pretty
pretty hard to pick the 3 votes and 2 votes, but
Alright, we'll get to the votes. So there's your group of best players.
Yeah.
Give us 1 vote.
1 vote to Joel Connolly. I thought he rucked pretty well all day.
Joel Connolly.
He got a lot of possession around the ground too, Joel. Well,
he was an in, was he? Was he in?
He was in.
He was an in. So this week, so that's good for coming back. So Joel Connolly, 1 vote. 2 votes.
2 votes to Curtis Bywaters for his 3 goals. He had about 20 possessions. He just about. I thought he was about right to come back and to get in amongst the big goals this last week, but I think he's just on the way back now. We've got to buy next week, of course, but he's just about back in business. Curtis Bywaters, well done.
So he could be up to kicking the bye. Good for a week off. So 3 votes.
3 votes to Ryan Stewart, who played a very good captain's game all day. Very solid in defence. Very good footballer, Ryan Stewart.
3 goals to Ryan Stewart. Yeah,
3 votes, not 3 goals.
3 votes, sorry, 3 votes. I wonder if there's a clear leader in the Barry Peatling Best and Fairest Award.
Well, we'll wait and see. As it's going at Clarkies and the Stewarts, and a few of those have been polling all right, I think, and but that's a long way away from...
It's hard to say. It's not as clear as it was last year.
No.
Alright, give us any highlights.
The highlights, one of the highlights was probably Ryan Stewart's mark of the day in the second quarter, Colin. He went up as high as that roof, I reckon, and he got up there and stayed up there and took a brilliant mark. Another highlight was when Michael Shaw was on the ground. He has taken some very, very good pack marks, Michael Shaw. Some of the marks he was taking there, especially in the third quarter, they were brilliant.
He's Matthew Shaw, the Gold Coast player.
Michael Shaw, that's his brother.
Matthew Shaw is his brother. He's playing he's a very good player as well.
He's got a lot of potential, this fellow. He's only played 2 or 3 games, but geez, he can take a good mark. And that's a sign of a good football when you take a good pack mark on. He's not that tall. He's probably about 5'10", but some of the marks he was taking very good.
Any other highlights?
No highlights. I can't in a minute about the umpires, but
yep. So there was a few highlights. It was a good hard game. Chelsea sort of won.
Well, we're just about. I reckon most of the time of the day we looked as though we're going to win. There was just a couple. They got a couple of quick goals because they got the umpires sort of helped. But I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Right. So you said just before that the Chelsea should have won, except for this factor, which was a big factor.
Yeah, 2 little funny-looking umpires they were, and look, I've played a lot of football over the last 100 years, and football sides, when they're on the bottom of the ladder, they always seem to get the worst deal. It's a fact, Colin. When you're on the bottom 2 or 3 sides of the competition, the umpires know it. And some of the time, these dubious free kicks have been given, especially in front of goal, to this mob on Saturday.
Yep.
They got about, I reckon, at least 5 goals for free kicks in front, and they were very, very touchy. I mean, you can understand.
So crucial.
Yeah, I mean, 40, 30 yards out, and some of the free kicks, if you're going to whack some around the neck, you're going to probably get a free kick, or try and belt some, but some of these they were just ticky touches.
And at crucial positions.
In front of goal, Colin, I just said 5 goals. I mean, we only got beaten by 10 points, and some of those fellas, they want to take a good look, have a good look. Someone's got the replay of that game, have a good look at it, Dopey.
So, some might say that you're an umpire basher.
No, I'm not. Look, you can understand people when they're, if they're getting a lot of free kicks, if they're doing the wrong thing, but it was just so ticky-touch. Wasn't it someone pushing someone back, or grabbing someone on the neck, or tripping someone. It was just sort of half a bit of pushing on the ground, and whistle goes, free kick.
So if it happened to the Pines, would you say so?
Well, I'm pretty, look, we've got to be biased towards Chelsea a lot, but I presume, but when you see these stupid free kicks handed out, we never got any stupid free kicks. As I said, these umpires know. They know the bottom sides, and they just treat them like a bit of dirt.
Okay, so you don't think...
Wake up, whoever's umpiring Saturday.
You don't think they're getting paid?
Don't come down to Chelsea and I'll bash you.
Oh, there's a threat. So you don't think they're getting paid?
Who knows what's going on? But
possibly paid.
Look, what's it only me complaining about the umpires? All those supporters around the ground, especially Matty Ponton's father. He's got a very powerful little voice, this fella. I can hear him about 100 yards away. But it was a joke. It was, well, best forgotten. And,
so just tell us quickly what's happening next week.
Well, the Peninsula, in the Peen Football League are playing over in Murray, and I'll be going down and watch that down the Frankston Park.
Oh, okay. So you'll be reporting.
I went there 2 years ago.
Yeah, so
was it last year?
Yeah, they might have gone up there, but.
No, I went and watched them play off the Murray 2 years ago.
So you'll be reporting on that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I presume it's going to be at Frankston Oval.
Yeah, which is a pretty big one. Yeah. Okay, well that'd be good. So we can get your opinion. Any Chelsea players made the squad?
Well, I must mention that they had a pretty ordinary game on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been picked in that. He could probably be nearly playing next Saturday with the Ovens and Murray. But I said to Paul Carver, the coach, I said Tutu and Bywater's been picked in the squad. Bywater might get in the squad, but Tutu had a very ordinary game.
He's been
4 or 5 possessions, the most.
All right. Well, just around the grounds a little bit, Mount Eliza.
I just checked at the paper this morning, and I see Mount Eliza beat. That'd be nearly the biggest upset as Melbourne beating Essendon.
Yeah, but just repeat it. Mount
Eliza beat Frankston YCW by 4 goals.
Okay. Wow.
What is going on?
They must have had a few players out or something.
I don't know.
Must have been something like that. All right, let's get on to the AFL.
Yeah, got a few
talk about Melbourne.
Oh, I talked about the Tigers.
Yeah.
Tigers, and I just told you before we come on air, Colin, that I was watching that game yesterday. It was the most pathetic performance I've seen Richmond. They won. They got out of the win.
So this is Richmond versus Melbourne.
Richmond. There was from the start of the game. They were always doing backwards, sideways, and they're just playing around like a little under 10s game. And they finished that win by 4 goals. But Melbourne did play all right. Must give a little bit of credit to Melbourne.
They put a bit of pressure on.
They did, and of course that Jeremy Howe, he's going to take a mark of the year every week.
So you want
to 2 on Saturday.
Your message to Richmond?
Smarten up.
Smarten up. Don't play like that against the top side.
They won't be able to do that next week against Essendon. Is that on Saturday or Friday night?
Probably Friday night or Saturday night. I'm not sure. We'll have to check. Okay, so smarten up, Richmond. All right, we've got a few.
We got out with a 5-goal win, but it was just. I only turned it off. Well, I did turn it off in the last 5 minutes anyway.
A few Cheerios.
Yeah, I got some new Cheerios. I mean, talking about people all around. There's people in Spain, Yugoslavia, and Latvia, and China, and but this fella Tony, he sent me an email about a month ago. I think I might have told you.
Latvia.
He's in Latvia, and he's been following the video. And I said, Tony, well done, thanks for the email, but he's used to be on the cheer squad for Chelsea. With the what do you call it, cheerleader or something, and thanks for your little email Tony, I hope you're getting all, because he's been tuned in because he said, I want to know what's going on with what's happening at Chelsea. And Chelsea's...
so you can get all the highlights and
well,
best
he's
players
getting them because he's...
from you, watching your videos.
Latvia, good old Latvia.
Any other Cheerios there?
Yeah, and there's, I got a phone call from PH last night.
Yeah.
He wouldn't believe this. There's a fellow up in Cairns who's got the chemist shop in Cairns, and Phil met him through another mate of his, Bruce. What's his second name? Anyway, turns out to be, he's a Tiger supporter for start, but he's very, very good friends with Brendan Gale, who is the CEO for Richmond now.
Wow.
And he watched the video last week, and I said to Phil, tell him I'll give him a bit of a mention because he's a Tiger supporter. David, his name is David, yeah.
David the chemist.
David the chemist, yeah, I don't know his second name, but
From
yeah, I hope you enjoy the videos, David. And I did meet Brendan Gale a long time ago when he was number 25 for Richmond, good footballer, centre forward.
He's the president now or something, isn't he?
CEO.
CEO, there you go.
Well, what are they? Just about in charge of the joint. And,
any other Cheerios there?
yeah, and yes, and there's a couple of ladies up in the Philippines, Loida and Lisa, they come back. I beg your pardon, Loida's in the Philippines, but Lisa come back from Sydney and they're staying over at, with Annie and Carla. That's another Cheerio, Annie and Carla, but Loida and Lisa, that's their two sisters, and they're going back tomorrow, so they're having
very good.
a few days in the Philippines.
Excellent.
Who else I had to send a Cheerio to? Oh yeah, PH and Sandy and her son Carlos.
Very good.
Big cheerio to you, Sandy, and I hope everything's going right in the Cairns.
We'll have to allow another 5 minutes for Cheerios coming up. So.
Well, you got to especially, and there's people in Spain looking at my videos.
Right, there we go. If you email Barry your name, he will give you a Cheerio as well, anywhere around the world.
Not really, Tom.
Well, yes, you will. That's a promise from me, guaranteed.
Yeah, this is Tony. He emailed me a few weeks. That's what we couldn't work out. Who was in Latvia? Knew about you? That was him.
That was him.
It satisfied my curiosity.
All right, that's goodbye from me.
Well, that was a few nice little Cheerios. Yeah, goodbye from me, and I'll see you next week.